You.
And oh, sorry, but anywho, so he then says, so he says he's dark and lovely. I'm like, yeah, he says if this guy is actually just watching and I say to him, Rams, I hear you being dark and lovely, and it brings me enormous joy to hear someone just being so proud of, even though of course it was not in the literal sense, but.
Welcome to Taking the Rams by the Horns, a podcast that takes current affairs out of current affairs. This is an award-winning podcast, remember, in partnership with Sowetan. I'm your host, Rams Mavote. Now, I've been doing this podcast now. Actually, this is the beginning of the third year, right? It started first on audio, and now it's gone on video. But we're beginning the third year. And I've decided, I've spent way too much time trying to speak to people who think they're important. People called politicians and blah, blah, blah. And I've decided, never. I'm done with these guys. I'm going to talk to South Africans that I think we need to speak to. People who make sense in their own spaces, but we don't listen to because we want to listen to people who lie to us and end up at the Matlanga Commission, So we're not going to go that route anymore. And in fact, if you know anybody that I should talk to, please send us an email on rems@remsmabote.com. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you subscribe. If you don't, press that button right away and share. So my very first guest in this new life of Taking the Rams by the Horns, is a friend of many, many years. I could never describe him because he's taken on so many shapes, interesting shapes. We also have a similar background of comms, similar background of broadcasting, similar background of poverty, similar background of fatherhood, but I have been fascinated by Luphumlo Ngcayisa's, I call it reinvention of himself, although I think it's actually going back to who he is. It's not a reinvention. I've been watching him and I've been fascinated by him coming back from a cocoon that he's hidden into because he thought he had lost himself, like we all do because we lost one client or the other, right? He's back, but he's also been making amazing sense on Facebook. He's here in studio. Mngcayisa.
I'm not too sure if this... I'm not going to call it the revamp or the relaunch is worthy of someone like me, especially when you mentioned that you need people who make sense. And my question is, what sense do I make?
Well, I'm going to take you to the sense that you make, because generally you don't make sense. I do accept that. Right?
Yes, and I'm happy we agree on that
But
part.
There's been a few moments when I thought, you caught my attention on this one, right? How have you been?
Life has been kind and unkind. However, life, as someone once said, life will unfold as it should. Mm-hmm. So I am now I wouldn't say I'm a spectator, but I think I'm just enjoying the grounding and watching life unfold. Mm-hmm. And I'll unpack that if you give me a second or two.
Oh, please. This is your time.
Having left being gainfully employed in 2023, after I had been serving in the state for about 9.5 years, and I left under not so pleasant circumstances. I was not necessarily forced out, but I experienced, I suppose, to a degree what many who have served in the state in a professional capacity have experienced.
You're preaching to the choir here.
And antagonized and microaggressions that you get, and it began to impact on my health, and I then had to make a decision. And it was clear that I have to choose my health and I have to choose my family. Was I ready to make that, to exit the system, to exit an income? No, I wasn't. As many of us live hand to mouth, mm-hmm. and it's very easy for people to say, you've got to plan, you've got to budget. As a working professional, you should at least have enough in your kitty to sustain you for a year. Now, in an ideal world,
it sounds so pretty.
It sounds marvelous. Yeah. And the reality is, and I'm glad you mentioned our poverty in the introduction. The reality is a lot of us, by the time we actually enter into our adult lives, we start at a back foot as we carry this enormous responsibility of having to fend for ourselves and also take care of home, etc., etc., etc. So obviously, at that time, I was not ready, but my health had to take precedence, and most importantly, as someone who struggles with ADHD and depression, I fall within the spectrum. I had to really think and consider what matters most, and my mental health mattered most, and I left. And leaving at a time where the economy is tanking. I mean, the economy is not getting any better. And therefore I left with full knowledge that the job market is not going to be that receptive. It's not like you're going to wake up and find something.
In fact, let
else.
me interrupt you. Even worse, for somebody who has a background in broadcasting, you also have that space that rejects us as we grow older, right?
Oh,
so you're
absolutely.
not going to be called because now somebody knows you're on the streets.
I mean,
No, they're looking for a 12-year-old,
South Africa
right?
is devastatingly ageist. And this is not just only the public broadcasting, just
Generally.
in different sectors. So it's not like, once again, and also you're not trending on TikTok. You're not cool.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get that call. But having left, it meant that, okay, so what do we do now? So at the time I was contemplating completing the MBA program that I had sort of started at Wits, but then I looked at the finances. I said, okay, Wits Business Schools. I said, no, MBA, let's rather just do postgrad in business administration, and then we'll because of the little that I had resource-wise. But then there was a lot of thinking that one had to undertake, and there a lot of healing that I needed to do, and I didn't realize how that space, the place of employer or employment where I was, how it had actually destroyed my internal infrastructure, how it had broken me down as a person. So there was a lot of healing that I needed to do, and it's taken a lot from there to now. But in the process, once again, I mentioned off air that health-wise things are ring. So it becomes very difficult for me to answer how am I. Because I am navigating all of these things, trying to get acquainted now with not having an income and having to manage the time better, and what do you do, what don't you do, how do you keep the family afloat, and how do you keep sustaining yourself.
And in the process, not taking bad jobs, because, there's also that part that because we're not having enough income, we then think we get tempted to take what we know we shouldn't be doing, right?
Well,
but then the school fees, and then there's
as it happened. I hate what you're doing to me right now. There's a project that I've just recently been roped in, and when I looked at it, and I said, my ego responded. My ego was like, no, this is beneath us. And then as I was beginning to entertain my ego, now I'm saying he's born, and then a statement comes through from the school.
Yeah.
Mele Koki school fees, and I was like, this is actually such a fantastic
the kind of job I like doing.
And I really think that you guys should look into the project as a whole, perhaps move. So now I'm in love with the project. But there have been other projects where I just felt, for the sake of my integrity, I would never allow my prevailing circumstances to erode on what I've always known to be the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
And I've said no. It's important. In all of that, we still need to understand that, yes, we may have pressing matters.
Yeah.
Yes, we may have obligations that are making these demands on us, but it could never and it should never be at the detriment of your integrity, because what has gotten you and I here and how we've survived the storm is because we managed to at least retain and maintain the little bit of dignity and integrity that we have. And that's something that we should just always hold on to, no matter the circumstances.
Speaking of integrity and dignity, one of the things that we have now seen as synonymous with you in at least the last year or so is you and one former president, Thabo Mbeki. You've now you own this fellow. Tell me what's happening there.
That's a huge.
I mean, you now handling his events.
No.
You even turned him into a photographer. But please tell him not to turn the cap backwards. That's not cool.
Okay, I cannot make any claims to that. However, if I were to explain my relationship with the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, it started in 2019.
Okay.
When I offered to, I had just come across a post on Facebook, in that the foundation is there's a presidential library that is coming up.
Yeah.
And I think a week or two before then, I had delivered you blacks call them golf shirts, but I just delivered a polo.
Yeah.
To
At the RAF they buy each for
to
about
the former president.
At the RAF they buy each for about 6,000 or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. So I had just delivered because he was to appear in some ANC event, and I had known that he prefers to wear polo shirts as opposed to just T-shirts. Yeah. So I had just delivered one for him. And fast forward, I come across this post on Facebook that this is the foundation.
So you had always known him, that you could even deliver a shirt to him.
Well, I didn't deliver it personally. It's not like
but
I
I'm just
inside.
look, you still sent it, but he would have.
Well, I delivered it. Okay, hey man, come on, man, yes.
I want people to know that I'm sitting with royalty here.
So then shortly after that, I go to Facebook and I see this, that the foundation at the time, it was the Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library.
Yeah.
That's what the project was called. So I call Usia. Sia worked, Sia is like one of the president's sons. It is incredibly close to Mr. President. And I say, Sia, I see that you guys are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is now the 10th or the 8th, but it was 10 days or 11 days before President Mbeki's 77th birthday.
Yes.
His birthday is a day before my son's birthday. In case you wonder, oh, you also know his birthday. Yeah, no, because it's a day before
we
my
all know
son's.
his birthday. That one is not exclusive.
So I say to Sia, listen, so you guys are doing this, but I have not read anything about it in terms of, the public. I'm sure that we as members of the public, we know about this presidential library. It's like, well. So I said, well, President is turning 77. Let's then host a fundraising dinner. And he says, look, it's 2 weeks. It's how? And I said, no, it's fine. I'll do it. And we did it. And I we put together the dinner. And it was a resounding success. I've never told anyone. We got so busy on the day.
Exclusive, guys.
So I'd gone to set up at the venue. I'd left home at about 4:30 in the morning, and we worked throughout the whole day. And I had to MC the event as well. And it was live. It was a live broadcast. Yeah. So, and there was no time for me to even go back home to shower. So I hosted the birthday.
Now you're vain. I mean, you probably shower 2 times before you shower.
But yeah, right. So that's when the relationship started. And then after that, the foundation tasked me to produce so it would appear as though I do President Mbeki's. Okay, cool, man. This one is obviously they've tasked me to work with his flagship projects, and one of them is the Thabo Mbeki Africa Day lecture. So I then had to coordinate.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
And I see you trying so hard to be modest about this. Well done.
Thank you. So for the first time, the lecture was now going to be hosted outside of UNISA. And a big gamble on the part of the foundation, because that's what they've always known with that. So I was tasked with that, and we did that in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And then the following year, Mr. President said, no, we need to take this thing. The board decided this thing has to go to, Northwest Africa, and it had to go to Guinea-Conakry, and we did that. One of my biggest, most difficult in the event, I wear many hats, but in the eventing and coordination space, Guinea-Conakry was by far the most challenging. And you have about 4 to 5 events that you have to put together. And it was so special and so beautiful, because we also did a tribute to Mamiri Makeba.
Yeah, because there's a house there, right?
100%. As you know, Guinea-Conakry is where she lived the longest.
The longest, yeah.
Out when she was in exile, and how they received her, and the love with which they have for her. So we put a concert together coordinating all of that. So that's basically how I've gotten, into what would seem as being, but I'm not, There's
Well
so
done.
I handle the special projects. We've just completed now, produced the 15 years of the foundation.
Yes.
And this year also the Africa Day lecture was hosted in Tanzania.
I saw that.
Which was absolutely fantastic. Just great working in different countries, learning the environment and just growing as a producer, growing as a creative, growing as a person. And next year, there's a possibility we might be going to Algeria. So I should be traveling to Algeria pretty soon. Just to do all the
outside
fun
his
work.
role when he was president for 9.5 years, because he just didn't make the 10 years, the
Yeah.
10th year, he didn't finish it. We know why. I think other than him being president, standing on podiums and pictures be taken of him, in the period he's worked with you, he's been on pictures more than any other period. I'm like, you've made him less mysterious. I must tell you, we see him more relaxed, in pictures with other people when he's not even chatting. But I want to talk about the...
Let me talk about. I will not take credit for that. But yes, I suppose me being me and there's I always say I so wish whomever that gets to sit with the president could actually just sit with him and not talk politics. There's just far too much to the human being, and so it pains me, and I do understand, of course, any broadcaster, any reporter, any person that would obviously want to get his take on what is happening in Libya and whatnot, because that's just pretty much what's been his life. But I mean, the gentleman loves photography. In fact, I have grown to be pedantic on how pictures should be taken, because in 2013 we were in Mauritius for the book fair, one of the book fairs that they have, and he so happened to have been in Mauritius as well. I think it was they were there for this illicit money.
The
There was a
illicit money
conference there.
transfers and stuff.
Yes, so there was he was in attendance, and that's where he actually taught me how to take a picture.
Really?
When you take a picture, you take your phone. He doesn't even have a phone, by the way. He doesn't
Yes,
have a cell
that
phone.
much I've heard
Yeah,
about.
he doesn't have a cell phone. So it's what you do. You work with the light, and so he's always loved photography, and he enjoys taking photos of butterflies. So there's just so much more to the man, and his appreciation for nature, photography, his appreciation for fabrics, quality. So there's just so much more. So in the event that you get to speak to him, I wish to implore you to resist the temptation to ask him about the state of Africa.
I'm no longer talking to those people. I'm talking to people behind there.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the people who make them.
It would be great to tap into.
I would love
it.
to.
A
I must
wonderful-
tell him one day that,
a wonderful, endearing, caring, and loving, and fun human. I think if there's one thing, and I might get into trouble for this one, but I do blame those who so happen to have enjoyed proximity to him at the time when he was at the helm. I think they denied us this endearing, warm, charming, fun human who has this just incredible sense of humor, who's able to just make everyone feel comfortable. That brain is crisp, sharp, and the humor is just there. You think he's not aware of what's going on, but he's so much aware. Just a little thing, like when you all gathered, he'll take the cell phones, not because he's paranoid that no, because he just wants, when your phone
everyone
rings,
should be present,
no,
right?
when the phone rings, he just wants to answer it. But remember, he doesn't have a mobile, so the joke is he enjoys answering calls.
Wow.
And then if it's you calling, and then you would recognize that voice, and you get stuck, and then you put the phone down, and he'll be like, "What kind of people are calling you?" And then they just drop phones. So there's just a human side to him, and it's just a wonderful, warm.
So when he next comes to your humble abode, because I suspect he even comes
No,
to
no,
you,
no, no, no,
please
he
tell
doesn't.
him.
No, he
Please tell him I'd like to have a
No, he
chat with him
doesn't.
about all these soft things in life and so on and so forth. Right? I'd like to have that conversation with him. But let me tell you why I got you here.
Sure.
After we've spoken for 20 minutes.
Sure. I've taken Tammy's time.
So-
I should be out of here.
Last week, you posted something on Facebook That got my attention.
Must have been on. I must have not taken my medication, or I must have doubled my dose on medication.
Well, I'm glad,
What
and
did
I would
post?
implore you not to always take your medication, because if this is what it
Or
gives
maybe
us,
double the dose.
if it gives us something like this, I get excited. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to
Sure.
read maybe the first paragraph, because it says, I'm interested in what has caused the decline in the appetite for intellectualism / appreciation of thought and thinking in a nation that was once discerning and intellectually inquisitive. Firstly, what got you here?
In my line of work, I get to, and I'm grateful. I could be emceeing a wedding. I could be facilitating or moderating a panel discussion on climate
at
change.
a friend's birthday party,
could be-
50th, and dancing everywhere. You know.
Yeah.
Could be just walking and taking a video of yourself. Like,
So, in these different realms that my talents get to find expression, I also get to spend a lot of time, because as a project manager as well, so I get to work in different projects, and each project brings with a host of different people, different skill sets, different temperaments, and different demands, and different demographics and different age groups, etc., etc., etc. So I spend a lot of time with people from different walks of life. So I pretty much oscillate between these worlds of these deep thinkers and then this side. So what I've noticed is that we've lost the appetite for thought, for thinking. And it's not just young people. It's not just those who are in high school or varsity students, just as adults as well. Just a cursory glance at social media. I posted, I'm going to respond to your question in a roundabout way, by way of illustration.
yeah.
I posted, I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, I was just trying to quiz how the removal of your vocational subjects. If you record,
Yes, I saw that
if you
post.
record
I
in
saw that
our
post.
time,
You spoke
if
about.
you record in our time, I remember when there will
woodwork
be a
and-
bus that will come and get us to
take us
some
to a technical
center,
school,
technical
right?
school,
Yeah.
and we did that from, I think, from standard 3 right up to standard 6.
Something like that,
If
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. So I was questioning how the absence of that in this now apparent skills gap that we found, or skills deficit, and just soft skills, etc., how that has contributed to what we are now. Someone on Twitter, whom I'm assuming is an adult, probably there's someone that, addresses that person as a husband or as the main boyfriend. Probably there are some kids who are referring to him as their dad. Responds, and he says, you are an influential person who hangs around with influential people. I'm concerned about the kind of conversations that you people have. I expect solutions from you. So I'm thinking, instead of the person addressing this glaring concern that is impacting all of us, this person is just prepared to it's an attack. I'm being attacked now. Now I must pay the price for. So what I'm trying to come at is, it's not uncommon for us not to interrogate what comes our way and to pause and think. And before we offer opinions or before we express observations, to at least undergo some level of thinking, just so by the time you sponsor an opinion, or by the time you opine on something, you would have at least satisfied yourself that you've played your part in thinking. So you find a lot of that, and I think having operated in these different spaces, I find it's a common thread. We don't enjoy thinking as such. Those who at least honor their dignity, because I'm of the view that thinking is also part of just honoring your dignity. And those who do, they stand to be chastised and rebuked and ridiculed to an extent that the media landscape, when you talk of broadcasting, if you look at appointments in general right now, it's they are no longer made on the basis of this person can actually there's some critical reasoning that this person possesses that's going to help us advance this, but it's just everything is just at a superficial. So it was born out of that frustration.
Okay, good, but honestly, what the hell did you think you'll achieve? I mean, you post this on the very space where stupidity has been democratized. I mean, that's what social media has become. I mean, I read it and I thought, I can't wait to see the responses.
There's also a case of the chicken and egg.
Yeah.
And I'm of the view that if we then cower and if we allow for the status quo to perpetuate, and if we resign ourselves that this is now what has become to define us, and we just fold our arms and says, we'll just have these conversations when we are with our friends who so happen to at least appreciate depth and meaning, then we're not doing the nation, or we're not doing ourselves any favors. We're actually doing the country a disservice. So yes, you are bound to be swallowed when you at least try to provoke some or try to ignite some sense of sensibility and thinking. But we can't give up.
I'm in the category that is given up. Right? I have switched off because yes, I would post and people attack me. They're not dealing with the issue. There's that thing. I didn't expect this from you, Rams. Like, why is it a Rams thing? But then once in a while, I still get tempted because I want us to talk. So, a few days ago, St. John's College posted a post, that sounds wrong, about a young man who was the ex-student, is Sazi
Is
Bong.
that tautology? Posted a
Yeah,
post,
but
what's
these
that?
things are called posts, so I wanted to say post, but yeah, you know what I mean, yeah.
Shared.
A post. You see why you here.
Or
I went to Makwarani primary school. My English is like, it's fake. It's fake. Anyway,
yeah.
So they speak about this former head boy of theirs who had been to Harvard and now he's got a Rhodes scholarship to go to Oxford.
I retweeted that. I was so
I
excited.
reposted, right? But this is what I reposted. I said, I don't know this boy and I have no relations with St. John's. And I said, but I love this because, it's a celebration and recognition of humanities.
Absolutely.
Because, the sciences are always pushed down the throats of our children as if we don't need humanities. Somebody describing them the same way you describe the other person. Right? Who's got children? I know he's got children. I know these children. He's like, yeah, that's nonsense for somebody who has 9 distinctions to waste it in humanities. But they even go further because one of the things that this boy is going to study is something called critical translation. Yeah. And then they start by saying, and of course, there's a chorus of people who join that nonsense. And I say, had you just Googled what critical translation was, you would have found, which is what I posted. It is an approach that views translation as a social, political, and cultural act rather than a neutral process of transferring meaning. True. It's a deep thing. Yeah. But lomdom dalal. I can't use the word to use because this is a family program.
Oh, excuse me.
We'll edit you. But anyway, because also I don't know Xhosa, I suspected you said something wrong, so I can't remember
what you said. No, actually, it was not even wrong. It's just, It was just me tapping into my Xhosa A. I did Xhosa first language from Disney 4 right up until I got to standard 8, but it's fine, yeah?
And this is why I don't engage. It's because somebody could have just Googled. You don't have to do anything. In my time, I had to take a taxi to go to the city library to find something as stupid as what is a plant.
Yeah.
But everything is on here, fingertips.
Rams, we have to also look at this thing objectively. Let's just look at how did we get here. My sense is we've come to suspend thinking. And this is largely owing to our socialization. He says itolik, right? So he chooses to minimize the depth of this. And the reason it's one, he has no understanding. And in him not having understanding and the depth, not having understanding and depth of things in South Africa right now has become a currency. So people are just very
vogue,
ballsy in their ignorance. But what has made ignorance this fashionable? How did ignorance become the culture? How did, so we go back, humanities, which is basically what the world needs now, more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because where we are at the intersection now, where we are, it's just raptures and just raptures and raptures, and it's the humanities that are going to bring us together. But when you and I were growing up in the 70s and in the 80s, the careers that were imposed on us at the time, which informed our socialization, was that those who, even the characterization in the classrooms, those who would be in standard 5A and 5B were the ones who were excelling in maths,
mathematics and science.
in mathematics and science, and perhaps biology, if
Yeah.
you want to include it there. So that, in a way, shaped how our relationship with education, curricula, and content. So fast forward to now, when you find a fine, pristine brain like that of
Yeah.
that young person who is choosing to pursue this, because through this boy, by the way, with these big challenges that we have with AI, it is them who are going to help Africa solve its challenges.
They're
Because
going to write the new agenda for this continent.
absolutely. But now, someone who is sitting there who would have probably acquired his mechanical engineering or whatever degree or discipline that they've followed, who is a product of that system, that ingrained within us. You look at how, for example, TVET colleges have a bad rep, and how those who would go there are seen as underachievers. And it's because society had long ingrained in us, conditioned, socialized us into thinking that education is just this one stream and this one stream only. You have to be a product of the system, and for you to be someone recognized as having made success, these are the predetermined careers that are prime, that are valued by society. Anything outside of that is not. If you look at the recruitment now with many advertising agencies, they're actually tapping into those students. Remember, there was a time where if someone did anthropology, or if someone had ventured into sociology,
Yeah.
they were seen as,
they're minor.
But those are,
But now we're looking for those
are your
guys.
think tanks,
Yes.
because they understand human behavior. And so what is missing in the world, and where we continue to miss each other, and all these microaggressions that we are now finding, it's because we do not understand the human. And it's going to take young, driven, progressive thinkers like this
Like
young
Sazi.
man to help engineers to engineer, help civil engineers, help mechanical engineers, help architects, town planners, and even economists to plan better, because they understand the human condition. So it is precisely for these reasons where I then say we have a responsibility, exhausting and daunting, and at times it just feels like, when the challenge with caring, the challenge with being concerned, the challenge with spending enough time with yourself and by yourself, trying to unpack these things, that it almost begins to feel like an albatross around your neck, where you feel, but you can't give up. Because that post, for example, I saw it from you, and the reactions from my audiences across the platforms were completely different. And there were a whole lot of other young academics and old academics. It was a mixed bag of reactions, but then they were all pointing to the fact this is what we need. So we can't give up.
You know what
and
you just said?
It can be debilitating at times, where you're thinking, yes, in Okonja, this is a family show. But yeah, you...
But what you just said is that I'm followed by morons, you followed by clever people. Anyway,
no.
Other than the videos that he makes, him dancing, him walking, he's a big brain, right? He's an amazing big brain.
That was not the insinuation.
Listen, I gotta conclude this conversation, and I'm gonna ask you 3 questions as we conclude. What's working with this country? What's not working with this country? And what's ugly about this country? And briefly.
Sure.
No,
I won't. What's working with this country is that it's our resilience. Through it all, we remain resilient. It's our ability. If you live in South Africa, you are constantly swimming and spinning in adversity, and we rise above all the time. So our resilience as a nation is commendable. Question 2.
What is not working?
What is not working is our us having outsourced our thinking to those whom we believe know better or can change the status quo or can change the trajectory of our lives. That's not working. The outsourcing of responsibility, accountability at an individual level. Because if you're going to take it to a political level, you also need to understand that the politicians that you have are a reflection of those who elected them. So before we cry foul about the state of politics in the country, we ought to examine ourselves, because we are the ones at the smallest level, at branch level, at whatever level, who actually get to see to these people getting to where they get it. So before we
not
complain,
participating,
by withdrawing participation or by participation, either way, we are at fault, and that's not working. Our inability to once again think through our decisions is not. It's what? That's number 2.
Yeah. The last one is, what is ugly? What is the horrible?
What is ugly? What is ugly is how desensitized we've become, and how uncaring, and how unloving, and how impatient, and how cruel, and how vile we've become towards each other. And that's what pains me, because I know us as a nation, I know us as a people, black, pink, yellow, blue, I know us to be benevolent, I know us to be magnanimous beings, I know us to be wonderful humans, and I'm longing for that. And I guess that's why I'm still holding on, and that's why I try to preach the message of kindness. In fact, next year I'm trying to put a show together. I need to go to corporates, I need to go everywhere, where we just try to cultivate that culture. In fact, it's not even a question of cultivating it, because it does rest within us, in the depth of our souls. We are wonderful people, we are caring people, and what has since happened is we've just allowed the prevailing circumstances, we've allowed the poverty, we've allowed the disappointments.
Do you remember me telling him not to belong?
To wear us down. I apologize.
Listen, Mhlekazi.
Enkosi.
Not only do I love your work, I love you.
I love you, my brother.
Thank you so much for everything that you do,
Thank you.
including by the light-hearted stuff. You know, you don't know how someone could be at a bad space at a minute they see a video of yours dancing or doing something. That's very important.
But dancing is prayer.
Yeah, look,
dancing is.
It's difficult for me to say so, because I can't dance. So I mean,
No, but
I think not dancing is a prayer.
There could be no greater connection with your source of power than when you are on the dance floor dancing, or when you are doing the dishes.
Could you shut up so that I finish what I wanted to say? Okay. So
I need extra time.
I was saying that continue doing what you do.
Thank you.
But I wish you success. The success that you were owed a long time ago. I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. And I know there are other problems, but don't wear them on your face, because you don't wear them on your face. Keep that smile on the dial. Keep doing what you do. Keep giving us the content you're giving us.
Thank you, sir.
I want to see you on the other side with that young man all the time succeeding.
And I need to rush to go pick him up at school.
Yes,
Thank
please
you.
get out of here.
Thank you very much.
He's a brain, right? He's an amazing human being. Luphumlo Ngcayisa. He used to be called something else which he doesn't want to be called anymore.
No,
so I'm
Lupi
not going to
died
say.
a long time
Yeah,
ago.
okay, Lupi died, so he's not Lupi. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Taking the Rams by the Horns. Please subscribe, please share, but also most importantly, please comment and tell me who else to interview, because I'm out of Ababantaba important. Now we're dealing with real human beings, right? From me, Rams Mavote. Goodbye and God bless.